I believe that Sand has unbelievable potential, and I think that Sand during the next bull run could hypothetically at least go to the price of $20. And even though that is not financial advice, and even though that is not a guarantee, here are the reasons why I believe Sand could very well reach the price of $20 during the next bull run. First of all, I think that Sand is very special. When we take a look at Sand, what is it, right? Sand is the utility token used throughout the Sandbox ecosystem as the basis for transactions and interactions. And personally speaking, I think that Sandbox as a metaverse is absolutely fantastic. When you compare it to a lot of other metaverses out there, right? A lot of metaverses out there, in my opinion, they completely suck. A lot of metaverses have very tacky graphics, it's very clunky, and it's just not exciting to play overall. However, on the contrary, when we take a look at Sandbox, it's very fun, it's exhilarating, and overall, in my opinion, it is very enticing. Sandbox, just as a metaverse, I think stands on a league of its own. I think it is a lot better than the majority of the competition. And personally speaking, I do think that the metaverse industry overall has a lot of potential. Because, for example, when we take a look at this, according to McKinsey, by 2030, they predict that the metaverse may create up to $5 trillion in value, which I think is insane. And I think that, if anything, truly visualizes just how massive the metaverse industry could potentially be in the very near future. And I think that moving forward, as the metaverse industry continues to grow, I think so will fundamentally amazing metaverses, much like Sandbox. However, it doesn't end there, because I think it's important to note that as of right now, there is currently over 200 brands involved with Sandbox, which I think is a very impressive figure. Sandbox also even has partnerships with Gucci, Adidas, Snoop Dogg, Ubisoft, and many others. Furthermore, on Sandbox, there's currently over 2.5 million wallets already registered as well, which I find very impressive. And here's the thing, right? When it comes to Sandbox, they are a subsidiary of Animoca Brands. And Animoca Brands, in my opinion, is truly the real deal. I think they are such a fantastic company. And Animoca, by the way, is a Hong Kong-based video game software / venture capital company that was, as of last year, valued at $5 billion, which I think is insane. Animoca is such a massive and reputable company, and I believe that Sandbox is in the right hands moving forward. I think that Animoca could truly carry Sandbox to great heights in the future. However, I want to shift gears real quick and talk about a major catalyst, which in my opinion, which could very well allow Sand to reach the price of $20 during the next bull run. And the major catalyst I want to talk about is the fact that I do believe that the next bull run could be so massive. As of right now, there's actually more people than ever before in history owning cryptos. And that is not a joke, by the way. Currently there's over 420 million people around the world owning cryptocurrencies. And just to give this number some context, when we take a look back just around 2 years ago, in 2021, there was actually only just around 300 million people owning cryptocurrencies. So just imagine this, right? If the 2021 bull run looked that massive with roughly only around 300 million people owning cryptocurrencies, just imagine how massive the next bull run could potentially look like, especially now that we have over 420 million people owning cryptos. In my opinion, when you have that many people owning cryptos, the amount of FOMO, buying pressure, and buying volume during the next bull run could very well be through the roof. And I think that during the next bull run, Bitcoin could hypothetically at least go to the price of $100,000. And even though that is not a guarantee, I think if Bitcoin were to reach the price of $100,000, I think at that point, the altcoin season would just be absolutely insane. And I think that when altcoins start rallying during the next bull run, I think so will fundamentally amazing cryptocurrencies, much like Sand. So overall, when I consider the incredible fundamentals of Sandbox, when I consider its ecosystem, when I consider how well it's doing right now, and last but not least, when I consider just how massive the next bull run could potentially be, I do believe that during the next bull run, Sand could very well at least go to the price of $20. And now, when I say that, some people, they may be thinking, hey, with the latest news with Sandbox, what makes you think that Sand is going to go to the price of $20 during the next bull run? And the news that I'm talking about is the fact that not too long ago, the SEC did label Sand and a bunch of other cryptocurrencies as securities. And a lot of people, they're concerned by this. They think that because of this news, Sand will never go to the price of at least $20. However, I actually don't think this is a big deal, and let me explain why. First of all, when the SEC labels something as a security, they are just alleging. It doesn't mean that it actually is. It actually has to be proven first. Furthermore, for the SEC to actually go through that legal process of trying to prove that something is a security, that's going to take multiple years. It's going to take a very long time. And I think if they even do decide to fully pursue Sandbox, I think before that even ends, I think the next bull run would have already happened anyways. And last but not least, I think it's also important to note that Judge Analisa Torres on July 13th did rule that Ripple Labs did not violate federal security laws by selling its XRP token on public exchanges. So again, right, when the SEC labels something as a security, it doesn't mean that it actually is. It actually has to be proven. So when I take all of that into consideration, I truly do believe that Sand will be just fine during the next bull run. I am so bullish on the future of Sand, and I think that during the next bull run, it could very well shock a lot of people and go to the price of $20, hypothetically speaking. And if you want to check out a very interesting video, make sure to go ahead and click on this thumbnail right here. It's a very fantastic video, and I think you all would really love it.